Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here's a trade recap of a perfect trade that I took on December 27th. Hopefully, in this lesson, you guys will pick up a lot of nuggets in here. I personally think this is a perfect trade, and I really want to share it with you guys. All right. So basically, this was a trade I took late day on Apple. Okay, as the market was rallying and coming up. I'm going to do this trade recap side by side with the SPY here to show you what my thinking and psychology behind the trade was. So let's go over the trade first. And this trade happened at 3 o'clock on Apple. As you can see, the Apple chart, actually, before I zoom into this chart here, as you can see, Apple basically rips popped a little bit out the gates and then just sold off. And then late day, it ramped back up. And to close off, it closed at with a major squeeze and into the highs back at where it opened. Now, the same action followed on the SPY. So throughout this trade, I was watching the SPY all along. Beside, I had the SPY up and I was watching Apple as well to confirm my thesis. And as this Apple started ripping up here, I basically kept this on side watch the whole day and I was watching it fade down, right? And as it started coming up, let's scroll out a little bit here. Just get the perfect timing. Perfect. Okay, just a few more frames. Okay, so I was watching Apple and it was tanking like crazy, and then this squeeze started to happen as the stock held support. It started coming up, and I was watching it from here already, and I saw this fail hard. Right, I initially saw this top fail, and I was watching it, and I was waiting for this pullback. Okay, and I saw this pullback. I saw it hold a higher low, and then I was waiting some more. So as this thing came up, I was looking at it to reject around this area, and it didn't. So that tested my patience a little bit. I did not enter the trade. And during this time, I was also watching the SPY. So we are looking at this 2:30 time frame here. I was watching the SPY and I saw the SPY rip and tag this VWAP, right? So from here, I was very, very interested in Apple and I was watching it, and my thesis was to short it back down. I was looking at the SPY to come down from here at this 241.5 area and just fail all day, because overall, if we zoom back a little bit right here, overall the market was basically fading all day, right? So my thesis was to watch it come all the way back down as it tagged this VWAP and failed, but it didn't. I exercised patience, which is one of the main lessons today that I'm going to talk about. As it tagged this VWAP, failed, I didn't get short into it because Apple was around this area by that time, and then it squeezed some more. Now, when Apple finally tagged the VWAP right here at 253, this was when the SPY popped a little bit over the VWAP, and I saw the SPY top out right here, and it started holding a little bit on the VWAP. And from here, I already had the thesis that it's going to double top. The SPY is going to double top right here. My thesis was looking for a double top and for a fail. And because we are coming into the 3 o'clock time mark, I was expecting the volume to fade out a little bit. I did not anticipate the stock to keep running because we are into late day, and I didn't think that the buyers would come in and buy so late. Okay, so that was the thesis going into this tag on the VWAP here on Apple. and I was waiting for Apple to double top and tag this VWAP again and fail. So as I was watching this, right at 3 o'clock, Apple tagged the VWAP. Zoom in a little bit. Apple tagged the VWAP. It ran up a lot previously, and I was watching this and waiting, and I was anticipating an other pop up and over and down, and that was my thesis. Once it showed me weakness, I was going to short it, and I was thinking that the buyers are going to finally step away and get out of the trade. So as this stock came up, I took the short right here as it failed VWAP at 151.28. That was my exact average as it failed VWAP. I took the short here, and my thesis was to bring the stock all the way back down to this area, the 151.50s right here. My risk was a little bit above. We were getting very close to the 152.50 area. So my risk was a little bit above here. And my target was right about here. Okay. So I had 28, I had 50. My risk was 152.50. My average is 152.28. So I was risking 22 cents. Yeah, 20 something cents. And I was looking for a dollar gain. I was looking for that 5 to 1. Okay. So this was the trade I was looking for. I was risking the 5 to 1. I shorted as it came down. And it washed. I paid myself right here at 151.78, which is a 50-cent gain. Okay. It came down a lot. I saw it bottom out here at this 151.69, and then it started coming back up, and I saw this volume coming in. So this is kind of like an exhaustion of volume here. It's massive volume candle compared to the previous candles. And as I saw this bottoming out, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I need to pay myself a little bit because this thing is gonna retest and fail. So I paid myself here right at the 50-cent mark. Once I gained 50 cents, and then the rest I was looking for it to further come back up and fail, or it was just going to stop me out. Now it came back up here, tested this VWAP, and I was telling myself, yay, lower high, right? So from here, I was looking for this lower high to confirm my trade thesis, and I was all happy about it. As I sit through this, it held, it popped, and then eventually it started ramping right back up. Okay, so as soon as this candle started coming up and squeezing, I basically took my trade right off, right here, and I ended up breaking dead nuts even on this trade. Ideally, I would have liked to be able to hold through all this and watch the next candle close, but this thing came up so fast that I thought the squeeze was going to be stupid, right? Because for the previous candles, for the prior squeezes, these candles were really quick, right? So I didn't really want to turn this trade into a red trade. I ended up stopping out a little bit at a loss here from my entry point, but in actuality, my P&L was right at zero, dead nuts even, and I didn't lose any money at all. Okay, now looking at Apple here, at the end of the day, it squeezed out and it kept going. It just kept going. From here on, when I took this trade off, I basically dropped the short thesis, and I didn't want to short this anymore because basically it was just foolish. Do not go against something that that's not going in your way. You're clearly wrong, right? So there was a massive squeeze here. It pulled back. It didn't do what I want. I paid myself, and then it kept squeezing again, and I wasn't going to fight this because that's a big lesson as a short seller that one have to take to heart, okay? Do not short shit that's going against you. Do not fight the market, okay? Now, with that said, the biggest lesson and why I considered this to be a perfect trade is that I followed my plan. I paid myself, okay? Had I not paid myself, this trade would have been in the red and I would have lost money. But because I did pay myself right here and locked in some gains, when I stopped out at a dead scratch break even and basically no harm, no foul. In turn, I learned a great lesson and I get to survive another day and I get to trade again. So with that said, that's my perfect trade. It didn't work in my favor. The thesis was good, but the biggest lesson is sometimes not these trades don't always work. And as a day trader, you need to know that. You need to accept that fact that these trades don't always work, right? The setup was there. We had this lower high, which confirmed the thesis, but overall, the market kind of faked me out, and that was it, right? It didn't work. I recognized that it didn't work, and basically that's it. So that's my perfect trade, and hopefully you guys all learned something from this lesson here. I also want to note on the SPY right here. Basically, going into the thesis, I mean, I was looking for the SPY to continue to fail, right? As it failed VWAP, I was looking for it to dump right back down to 240s, and it didn't, right? It came down under the VWAP. I was watching this trade all along, and I had one eye on Apple, one eye on the SPY, and the SPY was holding this 200 SMA. And then as it came back up and failed, it tested. And from here, when it reclaimed, I saw this candle hold the VWAP right here on the SPY, right at 310. So right here. And this was when all the red flags started coming up. And this was when I had this kind of like, oh shit moment where I'm like, oh shit, this is still gonna run. So I stopped out, and basically that was it. So hopefully you guys got some great lessons in here. Biggest lesson, first of all, point one, be patient, because I could have shorted it here, but I didn't because I was looking at the SPY, and the SPY didn't really get up to the level where I wanted it yet. Okay, so patience is lesson number one. Had I shorted it here, I would have failed. Okay, I waited for the perfect area to short. I had a key psychological number of 150 to 50. That was what I was looking for. Okay, I had a clear plan of bringing it down to another key psychological whole number, and I had a proper risk reward thesis. Okay, so that's lesson number two. So lesson number one, patience. Lesson number two, clear plan. Lesson number three, pay yourself. Always pay yourself on a wash, right? Right here when it came down, I had this 2-to-1. I paid myself. Yes, I would have had this trade worked and I didn't pay myself. Yes, I would have made a lot of money. But then if it didn't work and I didn't pay myself, I would have took the red, right? So pay yourself every time a stock washed properly. And by means of proper is when it wash and it gives you that 2-to-1 reward, or even 1-to-1 reward, you can pay yourself, right? At least take care of that commissions first, right? You got to lock in something, all right? And then from then on, stop out at a proper stop where you originally had planned, and that's exactly what I did. Hence the perfect trade. And lesson number 4, do not fight shit, right? I could have kept trying and trying here. I could have kept trying at this 153, 154, 155, 156. I could have kept trying. But had I done that, then I would have lost my pants, right? Because if you're looking on the SPY right now, right over here, there really wasn't any other thesis out there for you to short. I was also looking at the SPY here at the 243.78 area, right, as it came up, and it didn't reject, right? What time was this? This is 3:23. So around this area, there is no thesis here at the 153.50s on Apple, right? It didn't fail. It didn't reject. It was way above the VWAP. It wasn't that overextended, okay, because it just kind of consolidated and then it literally just started its run. So the fourth lesson is to not to fight the trend, right? So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little video lesson and my trade recap on the perfect trade going into tomorrow. Hopefully you guys can apply some of this to your trades and your plans tomorrow. Make sure you pay yourself on the wash. Watch these volume candles as you're in the trade. When the volume starts popping up and exhausting, pay yourself. Definitely pay yourself. All right. Have a great evening. I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Ciao.